mtu anapenda YMCA. Kila mtu anapenda YMCA. Kila mtu anapenda YMCA.
The Republic of Kenya. An adventure awaits across the Atlantic Ocean.
I wanted to go to Kenya because this would be like my first time going to Africa. When I found out what we were doing, what we were going to be there for, it made me want to go there even more.
For YMCA Global Teens participants, a journey of purpose, a mission of service.
To explore the other part of the world. I know that's my origin. I'm African American and I know my ancestors are in Africa.
To experience life in the motherland and learning culture, learning what's different and different ways of how we can help.
A chance to explore and embrace the global power of the Y.
I knew there'd be no experience like it, to just be able to engage with other Ys globally.
20 teens and 13 staff and volunteers from the YMCA of Delaware set out to make a difference. A transformative 2-week study abroad experience in partnership with Newcastle County, more than 7,400 miles away from home.
I was a little scared, but I decided to go because I've never been out the country.
I've traveled out of the country before, but not a 15-hour flight. So a lot of anxiety of traveling far.
I knew that it would be an opportunity to experience a world that I had not, and to step foot on a piece of land that I came from and have no connection to. And that felt critical to me, and I knew otherwise I was not going to be able to go. Kenya is expensive to get to, as are most countries. So I was grateful.
When we got off the plane, they were all welcoming us. It was a whole tribe dancing.
I heard a lot of music going on, so I wasn't sure if it was, maybe just some cars and people playing music. But as soon as we came out, it was just beautiful. They were very welcoming, so I felt, probably sound cliche, felt at home.
When we arrived, there was a group of Masai Mara kids dancing, playing the drums, and they were greeting us with beautiful red and blue scarves. The red signifies that whenever they are out in the bushes, they can see you and they won't harm you. That was very warm. We didn't expect that they were going to greet us. They helped us with our luggage. After 14 hours, we were tired, but as soon as we heard the drummers and the music, we were dancing in the streets. We were dancing at the airport. It was a phenomenal experience.
The Global Teens Group, with young people between 15 and 19 from Delaware YMCAs, arrive at the Central Y in Nairobi, Kenya.
A lot of work, a lot of planning. We partnered with the Kenya YMCA. The Kenya YMCA has 24 YMCAs in Kenya.
Teens from the US and Kenya exchange ideas about drug prevention, mental health, and advocacy.
I personally believe that young people and even adults learn from experiences. And so I knew when we had the opportunity to take young people to Kenya, that I knew that it wasn't just going to be an experience for them, but an experience for many people in the YMCA. One, just to exchange information with YMCAs abroad, to meet our colleagues from abroad.
Sometimes we can feel like we're looking for purpose. There is something reassuring about being part of something. And we spend 16 hours traveling to the other side of the world, and you meet colleagues and friends who are connected with the same organization that you are, working on many of the similar things that you are. I think it brings about a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose that I find meaningful.
That experience was transformative for the staff and not only and for the young people as well. We were able to just take a dive in on what they do daily, meet their young people, understand their programs, how would they meet in a need in Kenya. And so I think not only for our young people, but for our staff, I think this experience was life-changing.
Now, as we say Aristata,
The Kenyan and American teams break down barriers through team building. The bond between cultures
are we good?
felt immediately. A connection formed through shared humanity.
I think one of the most meaningful things about this trip was being able to connect with youth from around the world. I've made so many friends from Kenya, and there's so many aspects of collaboration specifically because we're both YMCAs. Like now we're developing, how can we start youth in government in Kenya?
That's a really great way to model the real government and get some involvement.
The Youth in Government in Delaware is helping the Kenya YMCA to establish a Youth in Government program. That's how we create community.
1 month before the global team's departure, Kenya faced massive protests led by Gen Z. Kenyan youth protested in large groups about the finance bill, which would have led to tax increases. They also protested against government corruption.
So when we talk about miscellaneous, basically they were asking, why is it that my money will be used for something I don't know?
Discussions and debates between the two countries ensue. What affects them in the current political climate?
So those are some of the questions that Gen Z were asking.
What can be learned from one another to find solutions?
I think it's so easy for my generation to get so caught up in the problems at home. When we look at the US, we think of so many problems within our government. But something interesting actually when we went there, the team there, they were protesting their government for completely different reasons.
Politics all the time.
We're over here protesting for abortion rights and forgiving student loan. They're protesting for corruption and to be actually heard and represented in their government. So I thought it was really interesting to see a different perspective, and I think it's really important that every teen is able to go beyond the borders of the US, because it can be so easy to just get stuck in one way of thinking.
People want to be heard, and they want to feel like their government is representative of them, and they want their government to be accountable to the programs and services that people need.
They put such a value on knowing who they were, knowing what was going on around them, being invested in what others were doing to their world, right? So they knew about the bill that was, going to cause extreme inflation. I think the teens really saw that and got that in a whole different way. And so now what else is there that they haven't considered? What else is there that they haven't thought about? I often tell people I'm really excited about what this next generation is going to do. Because while there are many who are very apathetic, there are so many who are so engaged and so ready to be in the streets, right? And make noise about things that are important to them. And that's exciting.
One of the things that made this trip so special is the young people and their flexibility and their willingness to be immersed in the experience. And they really became immersed in the Kenyan experience. And I will say it again and again, transformative.
A community forms of involved youth to ensure their voice is heard in their respective country's path to the future.
Working together and collaborating between, YMCAs across the sea, that right there is what will ultimately help improve overall well-being, quality of life.
Deferring ideas in STEM technology, tactics in improving opportunities, building a community across an ocean to ensure connectivity and better outcomes.
I will shout this from the mountaintops, but I believe the greatest impact was the cultural exchange between the young people that was abroad. Our students, they trusted and connected with the young people immediately. So being able to see our young people just naturally and organic build relationships with people they've never met before was, to me, as the observer, inspiring.
The Global Teens Mission: improve the quality of life for Kenyans however they can during the trip. Part of the process, cleaning and painting the YMCA Kibera Primary School, which started as a daycare center for single mothers in 2008. It's now blossomed to enroll more than 350 children.
Kibera is one of the largest slums in Kenya. It's the second largest slum in the world. We visit the school with 300 kids daily. The school was beautiful when we arrived, and it was more beautiful when we left. We have to clean it, we have to paint it, and we enjoy being with the kids over there. After we paint the school, the kids were like mesmerized to see how clean the school is now.
We refurnished it and we repainted it so it looks like all new and stuff.
Painting the school made me feel great, helping them, showing they see people that actually care for them. When I came back, all I would talk about is how the kids just brought out a different happiness. It was nothing but smiles.
They were so happy to paint too. Like the schools looked really nice after. Like we were supposed, only the Y workers, all the people that went down with the YMCA were supposed to paint. But the kids wanted to paint too, so I let them. And they were really happy.
The Global Teens witnessed the resilience and ambition of the Kenyan youth, seeing the impact on their faces. The Delawareans now coming to grips with the stark contrast in scholastic settings, beginning to acknowledge the inherited privilege that comes with growing up in the United States.
Our visitors, you are welcome. Yes, you are welcome. Welcome to our school.
We got to meet the kids who went to the school, and that was just like such an incredible experience. And they performed for us and they played with us, and I remember their principal was giving a speech at the beginning when we first came. She said that it makes the kids feel so special to know that somebody from America is coming to see them. That really touched me, and a lot of the kids, were going through extreme poverty, and the principal said a lot of them only came to school because they knew there would be food there.
They don't have electronics, they don't have internet to anything. They have different age levels of school, and there's only 3 classrooms, and then there was other buildings, but the classes were really small.
Their school was a lot smaller. Plastic chairs with blackboards, and that's the entire classroom. They only had 6 classrooms versus our schools were we will have at least 10 classrooms down one hallway.
The different dynamics of education systems and stuff like that, I feel like that was one thing that stood out, the major thing that stood out to me.
While classrooms and lesson plans may differ, the Americans and Kenyans once again find common ground, this time through social media trends.
We got to get to know each other a little more, making a connection, a bond. They was playing music, something had rung in my head, a TikTok sound that we heard from their country, and I asked them, do they know it? And they pulled it up on our phone, and we ended up making the TikTok, and it was kind of cool because I'm watching them on the internet, now I'm actually doing the TikTok with them in person, and that really amazed me.
The following day after we painted for 2 days. Yeah, we were tired, we were exhausted, but we were very happy to see the school that was clean and to see the eyes of the kids returning to the school. They were very happy and mesmerized to see a clean school.
In preparation for the trip, the Delaware contingent collected new clothing to donate to the Kenyan community. With every supply given, they became part of a greater story, one of hope and opportunity.
We took 7 bags full of new clothes and shoes and so forth.
I felt really like I was really like helping them out. Like it felt really great to give back to somebody that really needs something.
We gave them shoes and like everything like that.
The kids were so happy. Like no matter what it was, I had bracelets on, and then one of them asked for a bracelet, and I gave them one of my bracelets. They were just so happy. They all went and told their friends. They all started coming up to me trying to get a bracelet, but I couldn't give everyone a bracelet.
As a mom, it was a good thing seeing my child here in another country she's never been and just being so open and willing to talk and just being loving to the school that we were at.
The lifestyle differences now crystallizing for the Americans as the teens from Delaware get a real feel for life in Kenya.
A lot of times when you visit a new country, you get only that tourist view lens and you only see what they necessarily want you to see or what is the best or the most polished for us Westerners. But we really got to see, I think, the home experience. It was as if I had a really good friend living there who was showing me around. We were on the way to Margaret's village. We stopped at a school and there were so many kids there. Apparently, we were interrupting the middle of their school day. To see how happy they were too, to just dance, to play with us. It was really touching just to see how welcoming they were.
As soon as we got off the bus, one of the kids kicked me a soccer ball and was like, I don't know your name, you don't know my name, and they was willing to play with us and it made me feel great.
And we wind up staying longer than we actually did. And that like really, I actually cried when we left because it was like seeing all the kids happy to see us and we just gave them hope and faith and that really moved me. I was with like the children, so they were like the ages from like 3 to 5 and they were like the most sweetest kids ever. They were like so humble and so sweet. I'm a camp counselor at the Walnut Street YMCA, so I taught them some of like camp songs with like my fellow like co-workers and stuff. And we just had like a really, really good time. We played soccer and volleyball and we met their parents and the teachers and the pastors and stuff like that. So it was a good experience.
The roads, the rural roads in particular in Kenya have been decimated because of floods. And so many of the roads were hard, very hard to traverse. And there was our bus driver, man alive, that man can drive. But there was one point where he literally took his glasses off and just put his hand on his forehead and he was like, we're not getting through this one. We're just not. And so he stopped the bus and he was like, y'all are gonna have to walk the rest of the way. And we got off the bus and we started walking. There were cows walking by us, a few sheep, some goats. This was their walk every day. This was their walk every day. And we only walked a fraction of that walk, right? And then as we're walking up to Margaret's aunt and uncle's house, there are all of these people in traditional clothing, beautiful bright colors, they're singing, they're dancing. And they come to us and they hug us and they shake our hands and they kiss us on the cheek. And they're like, Karibu, cousin, which means welcome, cousin. And they were like, welcome home. And I'm like, oh, like ugly crying. Holy cow, what an experience for not only me, right, but for them.
Food insecurity, a prominent problem in Kenya. According to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, around 1 million Kenyans fell in the crisis category in 2024. High prices, climate shocks, crop pests can all be contributing factors.
In the Yatta village, we fed 70 families that day, and we provide seeds for them to plant in there with the help of the YMCA. So they have a new project over there to feed their families for a year.
And we brought food. So we brought seeds and we brought flour and rice and a few things, but we didn't bring nearly enough. And we created a line to distribute these things. There were people who were literally back on each other because they were so eager to get these things. And there were a few people who were walking the older people up to the front of the line to make sure that they were able to get something. But by the end, we did not have enough. It became kind of chaotic. And I remember looking at the teens, some of the teens walk away and they were like, oh my gosh, what was that? That's life. That is life here.
They have their 3 meals, if they get 3 meals, because sometimes they're not eating 3 meals. I think the teens, they realized how fortunate they were, and I believe that they came back with a whole new outlook on their lives and how their lives are for the teens in Kenya.
So we're sitting there and they're doing traditional songs and dances, and they made us food. So apparently slaughtering a goat is a customary thing when you're welcoming guests. And so they slaughtered a few goats, cooked them. They had a whole spread. We all ate before anyone in the village. And as some of the folks, the teens, were walking to put their plates away, they had so much food still left on their plates. And they were already talking about going and getting seconds. No one in the village had eaten yet. So when they did get up to eat, right, they're not taking more than they can eat. And they certainly aren't leaving anything on their plate. And then you have this experience where these people are pushing each other in line to try to get seeds and rice and flour. How do you walk away from something like that and not grow?
Watching the people serve the food to the people in Kenya and seeing them all bull rush each other, rush to the line, kind of made me look back at home where I don't really have to do that. I can go get food, but seeing them having to rush just made me feel bad because we waste food a lot, and there's other people out in the world that is starving, and people in America just waste food a lot. So it just made me feel stop wasting food.
There is more than enough food in our country to feed everyone. There is absolutely zero reason for hunger, but we have it, right? And to see that happen right in front of us was an eye-opening experience, and then a humbling experience because they literally left food on their plates just moments ago. At one point I got up and I started crying, and I was just watching because I couldn't do the line. And Jesus had on his sunglasses and he said, "Tia, can I talk to you for a second?" And so he pulled me away and I started bawling. We are so lucky. We are so lucky. And I got mad. I got mad at the teens at one point, and I was like, "You won the birth lottery. You should be much more humble. Why do you have a bottle of water and you didn't even finish it, and you just threw it off to the side?" And yeah, it was talk about growth, talk about impact. Talk about seeing lives changed in just those moments.
Offering a helping hand leads to an improved outlook for the teens from Delaware and a new appreciation for the differences between want and need.
The thing that really pushed me was what the mission of going on the trip. Because we know that it's not like a vacation. It's not a vacation. It's a mission trip. Like you're supposed to be going there, doing stuff, helping people, and like just making their lives a little bit better and making your life a little bit better as well.
The way they live, they were really happy, and like with what they have, they're not like ungrateful or they don't complain or anything. And for them to be that happy down there, it made me think like, I gotta stop complaining.
I just feel like in their heart, they're like, these people come here and they gave us everything. They gave us clothes. They was welcoming us. They were buying us stuff. They were repainting our schools. I feel like we impacted them the most in their hearts.
The service is so incredible. Getting to paint schools and feed communities, and the things we did there were so incredible. And I wish more people could experience things like that.
Together, we can accomplish a lot. Supporting Kenya and supporting the schools and even some of the villages with the clothing and the materials and helping to paint the school, it opened our eyes to how we could be better us, but then again, work for a better world.
We went on our trip to the Masai Mara. When we arrived to our campground, we have wonderful military tents to stay, modern military tents. They had showers and bathrooms, which was very nice.
The Maasai tribe, once the dominant tribe in Kenya. While other Kenyan tribes have adapted to a modern-day lifestyle, the Maasai still live by herding cattle and goats, staying true to their roots.
The houses. I feel like that's one of the big differences. Our houses are made of brick and wood. Down here, they make the Maasai tribe, they make their houses out of cow manure and water and dirt. And a fun fact about the Maasai tribe, the women build the houses for 3 months and they last up to 9 years, all made out of cow manure. And the houses are small, like the size of some of our kitchens, that's the size of their house. And they will be having 6 to 8 people living in it. They don't have all that fancy stuff. So I feel like that's one of the bigger differences. And it's just like, wow, this is where they live at. They don't have beds. They make their beds out of sticks. The roof is made out of metal plates. It's just like, wow.
One of the main sources of animals that they eat are cow. They eat a lot of cow, like a lot of beef. And that binds with the culture because the Masai Mara tribe is one of the biggest tribe in Kenya. And they survive off of that cow. Like the cow that they eat, they take clothes from it, they take the nutrients from it, they drink from it, they do everything for that one specific animal that kind of brings all the tribes together. I feel like that's like a symbol of like unity also, so it all just like binds like everything together.
A top safari destination in southwest Kenya, the Masai Mara National Reserve. 580 square miles of spectacular wildlife and ecosystems. More than 95 species of mammals call it home.
It was really incredible. Our campground didn't have fences. So in the morning, we bought radios. So each cabin had a radio. In the morning would say, hey, there is a zebra in my window.
We're literally out in the wild. Like they were like animals would come get us at night. Like that's how we were living. It was scary.
I expected animals. I know we was going to go to the safari. I was like, yes, I want to see everything from Lion King. And when I got there, it was more than I expected. It was just amazing.
Their biodiversity is incredible. We got to see so many animals. We got to see like giraffes, hippos, and they were just, roaming out in the wild.
All the animals were around with zebras, giraffes, lions. We were surrounded by them.
there was like little baby cheetahs, and it was 3 of them, and it was like a whole bunch of the Land Cruisers. We all just stopped and were just like staring at them. One of the cheetahs went up to the car and almost jumped on it, but they had to start the engine for the cheetah to go away.
My dad, he loves to watch those National Geographic videos of like the lions hunting and stuff, and the animals like running through the safari, but you can't even describe. It's so surreal just seeing it so close and seeing how wild it is. That's like kind of their backyard. They just have like giraffes and zebras, which is so cool to me, and something that you can't just get off of your phone and really realize how wild it is, because it really wasn't a zoo. Like, we had to drive around for hours and then, oh, it's an elephant. Whereas on, I guess, social media, you only see the picture of the elephant.
Staying like at the actual safari was kind of pretty scary. Staying in the cabin, staying outside, hearing little things outside your tent. It was kind of scary.
I think this was the best trip because we didn't have to go and do checks on the evenings. Nobody was able to get out of the cabins because they were very scared of the animals as well.
A lot of places that you go, you don't feel very welcomed by the people who are living there. They look down on you like, oh, you're a tourist. But people in Kenya were super welcoming. They say like karibu, which means welcome, and they like hug you when they greet you. And I thought that was really touching how welcoming they were. You just wave to them and they wave back.
I've had an assumption of how the culture was, and a few things were true about it, but ultimately, it was a lot of things that I've learned when it came to the culture. One, how so family oriented they are, and how tight-knit all of the families and the villages and the tribes, how they are, and how, of course, that reciprocates back to how we are here in our American lives, and us as African Americans, as Black people in America. So it was great to see that. It was great to also experience the history. They taught us why the values are the way they are, and how the family life and the village life, how it is that way, and where it came from. So it was great to experience that.
We visited a church on the last day, and they welcomed us with like open arms, and then for lunch they put on like a little show for us, and it was really cool. Just for them to be so willing to share their culture with us.
We had a chance to be with 400 people.
We love Kenya.
And the bishop of the Anglican Church presented us with the choir, one of the best choirs in the east of Africa. And go some competitions all over, and they reunite that choir to thank us because of the deed that we have done through our trip. We thank them because they gave us the opportunity to be with the YMCA as well as visiting the different areas of the country.
While visually nothing compares to the Masai Mara, the global teens embraced a few true tourist stops during the trip.
Coming over this way.
The giraffe center was amazing. Feeding the giraffes, feeling their skin, their tongue, and you didn't know, but the saliva from the giraffes is antibacterial. So it's very interesting. We learned a lot from them, and they take care of their animals very, very well.
Now the wild.
We went to the Nairobi Museum.
The Nairobi Museum was really cool. There was a combination of learning about the culture, learning about the history, about the arts, and about nature. Also learning about Kenya's history, pre-colonial period, as well as a colonial period. That was new information for all of us, and it was really interesting to think about what that might be like and what it might be like to have lived through that period of time. And also the kind of the reconciliation of going through colonialism and coming out of it and what that means today, and some of the artifacts from that time that are present in modern Kenyan culture.
When we visit the Bomas, which is kind of like a live museum to preserve the 43 different tribes of Kenya's cultures and dances, they perform their dances for us and their songs, and it was really cool to see how integrated it is in their culture.
There were quite a few dancers in our group, people who did like to express themselves in that way, but there was other people like me who maybe a little more shy. Something about the environment and something about the warmth, it made it much more inviting, and I think it gave us, many of us who are maybe on the more shy side, a chance to participate and feel welcome. And yeah, and I'm grateful that I had that opportunity.
Just to step outside of my comfort zone, stop being shy, and actually like enjoying the trip, enjoying the moment, just to be able to come back to America to say I was able to dance with people in a different country.
Even that they don't speak perfect English, not that I speak perfect English, the communication with them was incredible. Music does a lot. As soon as we heard music, the teens here and the teens there were dancing, they were showing the different steps, and that was a way of communication.
Even if you don't like dancing, you're just tapping your foot, or maybe you're clapping your hands. And even if it doesn't matter what you were, if you were Asian, if you were African American, if you were Caucasian, they brought you into the dance, they taught you their dances. I just feel like it was just a really unifying moment.
Dancing is what brought us together, if that makes sense, like, because there was a language barrier, but as soon as they put that music on, we were all together, we were all one.
I had to adapt to like all the different foods, and the water is different too.
We were very happy to taste different animals, really, different meats.
I didn't like the food. We always ate goat and rice and beans. I don't like goat.
I didn't expect the food to be that good, but it was really good.
They have all organic food, so they don't do like processed food or anything like that. They grow it like from the soil.
The Nairobi YMCA has an agricultural technical school, and they are producing organic food to feed themselves and to feed others. That's amazing work that they're doing, that we can do it here in our neighborhoods as well.
The Kibera slum, the largest in Africa. 250,000 people live on government-owned land. The average size of a shack in the slums, 12 by 12 feet. Only about 20% of Kibera has electricity. Most shacks have no toilets. A lack of medical care, drug use, and unwanted pregnancies remain major issues.
I was very humbled. We went to a part of Nairobi, which is called the Kibera slums, and it was like very heartbreaking to see like the children and like just like the day-to-day lives of like the civilians there. And now like a takeaway from that is like I don't really like waste my food anymore, and I'm more grateful for what I have and for what I don't have.
Their problems are not having enough books, not having a computer, not having the right clothes that fit, not having enough food. When we visited the slums, it was really interesting to see because they're essentially like sheet metal houses.
Imagine a room this small, barely any lighting. It's all made out of metal, and there's only a door and maybe a window.
And one of the local Kenyan youth told me that when it floods, it's like a domino effect, and they all fall down. And that the population density in the slum is crazy. It's like 30 times New York. Just hearing that was really sad.
They were really sweet and really like embracing. And despite like how they live, I feel like you would expect them to act a certain way with how they live, but They're very sweet and they're very generous and they're really, really good people.
I thought the people would be a little more like to themselves, but everybody was really friendly. I loved that.
I feel like, all of the poverty I've seen in the United States has just seemed so small in comparison to what I saw in Kenya. There were so many children that would approach me on the street for money and were starving. But most of the people that I met in Kenya were some of the happiest people I had ever met. Even they're going through a rough political situation right now with their president, but and there are a lot of riots in the streets and such. But even through that, they were so welcoming and so kind and genuinely seemed so satisfied and grateful with what they had.
A stark contrast to the slums, the global teens toured the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, full of shops, historical religious sites, even a mall.
There's a huge misconception that Africa is completely poor and they're all lacking water and they don't have clothes and stuff, but really Kenya is a pretty developed country. They speak English, they have cars and stuff. Yeah, they have a culture much deeper than just their economic status.
I feel like I was really surprised to see that the city of Nairobi, their capital, walking around it seemed pretty similar to New York City to me. And obviously there were a lot of things that were different from New York City. There were a lot of people on the street selling fruit, and there were a lot of outdoor markets. There were so many handmade and artisanal crafts and stuff that were being sold.
My group, the fun group, how you do so now. The fun group, we went on top of the tallest building and we were dancing with the teams that were down there and making TikToks and stuff and just looking at everything. It was a good moment.
The mall was the biggest mall I've ever been to. It was mostly tourists and the rich people of Kenya.
It's quite diverse as a city. There were kind of built up metropolitan areas, there were kind of more wealthy areas, and kind of everything in between. We had good teachers. Our tour guides were great.
You're in good hands. We were safe the whole time. We had tour guides. We took a tour of Nairobi. They were showing us little spots and stuff. You just meet a whole bunch of people. You meet new friends. You could be social and you just have fun. We were dancing. One minute we were dancing. One minute we were singing. We were in the pool. We were jumping, laughing, talking. It's a great experience.
While roaming among the elephants, our experience was made truly elegant.
Each night, the global teens reflected in groups, recapping their experiences, the lessons learned, how it changed them. The impact of the trip will echo for years to come, shaping not only those who received, but also those who offered support. This is the power of service. This is the YMCA Global Teens Program.
I think our young people came back feeling motivated to continue to do more work, to inspire, to change, to get involved in their community. Just the post-trip of this and interacting with some of the kids, they're still talking about the work that they did in Kenya. So this is how I know that they would never forget the experience.
When experiences like this happen for teens, it helps them, one, identify their self, express their self, and learn that the world is just bigger than the Wilmington area. The world is just bigger than Newcastle County and Delaware. They have a lot and they should have gratitude for what they have, because even the children and the families that were over in Kenya, they didn't have as much as our teens have today, but they were still smiling and happy and excited and grateful for their lives.
I'm definitely gonna be more humble about my life.
It definitely changed my worldview on being grateful for what I have. My dad grew up very poor in China, and some of the villages that we visited reminded me of my dad's village, and just seeing how far, I guess, my own family has come and exactly kind of how my dad grew up.
I'm not wasting food anymore. I'm more grateful for what I have. Just the change of mindset is a really big thing that I have to take away from this, because my situation is very different from other people's situation, and my situation could be worse.
A way that I could say I grew was to definitely look at things different. Be more grateful, because like where I'm from, a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to even go to another state, and I'm just very grateful to even go to a different country.
I smile more because I'm so much more appreciative than I even thought I could be. Nairobi is one of the wealthiest cities in Kenya and also has some of the most extreme poverty. And to see all of that side by side, it reminds me why I am so committed to the work that I do in the community. I grew in so many ways. It wasn't the big things that threw us. It was the little things. Going into a bathroom and not having toilet paper right next to you was so odd for us. And that's so minor in the grand scheme of things. I never would have thought that I'd see the things that I saw and see such gorgeous smiles despite it all. The lesson is that there is so much beauty in this world, and you will never see it if you don't leave your bubble. And we left our bubble all right, but what a worthwhile reason to leave it.
I think that everybody on the trip saw something and was inspired by something that they wouldn't necessarily have seen at home. It's a great reminder about, there's lots of different ways of existing. There's lots of different ways of living. You learn something from it, and you take something with you, and maybe, while you're there, you give something back as well.
People dream of going to Africa. They have this on their bucket list, and here I am with my 16-year-old daughter in Africa. So as a mom, it was very touching, humbling, and it's something that I'll never forget, and I know it's something she'll never forget.
It was the last day when we were leaving. She had a pair of shoes that we were supposed to give to the kids, but they were adult size. Then one of the workers came up to him, he was like, "Are you giving those out?" And then my mom was like, "Yeah, are they your size?" And he started crying, and he gave my mom a big hug, and he said that he was very grateful. And it was very eye-opening, because I don't have to go up to somebody, or I have money to get shoes and buy the clothes that I want, but the people down there don't have the money. So it was very sad. She started crying. I started crying.
At nighttime, we would have conversations, and she would just say, "Mom, I'm very thankful, humble. Thank you, for letting me know about this trip." My daughter is biracial. My husband is white, so Gianna is black and white. I instilled in them from a very young age that they are beautiful no matter what, because in this world, they'll never be white, should I say, even though they're biracial. They'll always be looking at it as black. For Gianna, it was an eye-opener for her and for myself, for her to even see where she came from, where her ancestors are from. Honestly, I just can't put into words. Still to this day, and we got back July 28th, I'm still in awe. I hope that I get to go back again. I don't want it to be my last. And I want to continue the connection that I built with the Kenyans in Africa.
As communities become more diverse, the YMCA of Delaware believes it's imperative for young people to become more culturally and globally competent. This prepares our youth to lead in the 21st century.
It's a big thank you, and I thank you for changing like my mindset so I can have more of like an eye-opening experience.
I want to say thank you a lot. I'm just really appreciative. Like, they gave me the opportunity to be able to go on the trip.
Thank you, and I appreciate you for donating and sponsoring the trip, because the original price versus the price we paid was a big difference.
I would say thank you for allowing kids to go on this trip and bring more kids together and keep them away from doing bad things.
The first thing I would say is thank you very much. Thank you on behalf of the Y. Thank you on behalf of all of the people who had an opportunity to attend this trip. I hope that by hearing stories from people who attended, from our young people, that you'll be inspired to continue to give and to continue to support this kind of work.
For the donors and the supporters, it mattered so much. The support helped to benefit a bigger cause, an overall growth opportunity for our teens, our communities, and so on.
I would first of all thank them.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for entrusting us with your funds so that we can continue to provide transformative experience for the young people here in Delaware.
Thank you to our donors. Without you, we couldn't make this happen, number one. Number two, yes, we will go to other countries where there are YMCAs and there are needs.
Together, we go beyond borders. Together, we create change. Join us on our next journey.
This doesn't stop. So, our young people are back in the United States, and so the work continues. When we left Kenya, we left with a plan on how do we continue to serve.
Try to come with us and experience what we have experienced, because it's important that every kid in Delaware, every kid in the United States have this experience. It's an experience of a lifetime, not only to go and visit and see, but also creating community, being ambassadors of this country to others, and understand cultures across the world.
ambiyaha dayayno sidii neef bukaanan bartawaal alla beerkaay maxay yartu beeliicilahay basidaanu bukoodayna ibaananayn basidaanu basaasayna iboortirayn alla beerkaay maxay yartu beeliicilahay yartu beeliicilahayd alla beerkaay maxay yartu beeliicilahay Masida